Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Cody. I'm an attorney here at Cody Law in Central Illinois. We are a civil practice office that serves clients throughout the state of Illinois. We primarily represent foster parents and relatives of children that are in foster care. We also provide adoption, guardianship, and probate services with our office. One of the topics that we are going to be discussing in a series is the foster parent law that is in place here in the state of Illinois. And we're going to be touching on different portions of that particular law in these short series that we're going to be posting on YouTube. I'll have a link below of the citation to the actual foster parent law. You should be able to find that on the DCFS website or also on the Illinois General Assembly website. I typically like to pull statutes directly from the General Assembly because they are the most up to date and they will have all the information as well as the citation, so that if you do need to use the citation for a reference to assert your rights, you have that. So I'll include that link down below, but the Illinois General Assembly website is www.ilga.gov, and that will take you to the page to find any compiled statute in the state of Illinois. But we are going to be focusing on the foster parent law, which is cited as 20 ILCS 520. And that is where you will find all of the legislative findings as to why we have a foster parent law, all of the rights of foster parents, and the obligations and the mechanism that DCFS is supposed to implement those and their partner agencies. So today's topic is going to be on the right enumerated in paragraph 12 of the statute. And I'm going to pull that up real quick so you can just kind of read along with me. So this is directly from the General Assembly's website. This is the foster parent law where you will find it. This is the citation that I noted before, the 20 ILCS 520, with the short title of the statute. And we're going to scroll down past the legislative findings and the definitions, and just kind of going briefly over the definitions. Foster parent means a person who is licensed as a foster parent under the laws of this state. So that's whether you're licensed as a relative foster placement or a traditional foster placement. These would both apply to you. The foster parent rights begin in section 1-15, and we are going to scroll down to the rights enumerated for this video under paragraph 11. Ironically, or not ironically, if you go to DCFS's website, the foster parent law that they have on their website is not the most recent as is enumerated in the General Assembly on their website, which is why I go to the General Assembly's website, because DCFS notoriously does not update that information. The last version they have of this law is from 2008, and there have been changes since then. So if you are looking at the DCFS version of the foster parent law, this is under paragraph 12, but it is in fact paragraph 11 if you are citing it in a legal pleading. So DCFS's information is wrong. The General Assembly's information should be correct. So paragraph 11, you'll see that a foster parent has a right to be notified in a timely and complete manner of all court hearings, including the notice of the date and time of the court hearing, the name of the judge or hearing officer hearing the case, the location of the hearing, and the court docket number of the case. So let's just focus on that part right there. So a lot of times I'll have foster parents contact me about issues that they're having with wards that are in care, and one of my first questions to them is, when was your last court date? When's your next permanency hearing date? What's the case number in the juvenile case? And a lot of times foster parents don't have that information. I've had many times where foster parents have said to me, well, the caseworker told me I can't go to those hearings. Not accurate. You have a right to know when all of those hearings are. And you always have a right to be heard by the court at those hearings. Will you get to sit on the whole hearing? Probably not. It's going to vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Are you going to actually have to assert to someone at the courthouse that you have a right to be heard by the court? You might have to do that, but you should be able to get that information from your caseworker in a timely manner. So permanency hearings are usually going to be every 3 to 6 months. At the beginning of the case, you're going to have a shelter care hearing, which you're probably not going to be involved in as the foster parent, because the placement may not be with you yet. That's very early on in the case. But you should be notified of when the case is set for an adjudicatory hearing, when it's set for dispositional hearing, when it's set for any permanency hearing. You have a right to know when and where and in front of who that those cases are going to be held. And most jurisdictions will allow you as a foster parent to come in and address the court. So if you have an issue with your child that you do not believe is being addressed by the agency, or that information is not being communicated to who it needs to be communicated to, you can go to that court hearing and request to be heard by the court and address that directly with the court. You can usually file some type of a written report to the court if you can't attend the court hearing, or if you want something in the record saying, hey, I just want you to be aware these are the issues that we're dealing with. These are the services that are supposed to be in place for my child in foster care, but the agency hasn't followed through with the referral, or the wait list is 3 months long, or there's a medication that this child has that hasn't been approved, or we're not receiving our subsidy payment. All of those things, even though the court may not be able to address it directly at that hearing, at least get it on the record and usually get a better response from the agency. This is also a chance for you to say, hey, Judge, this is where this child is struggling and might need additional services. Or here's an issue I am having with the parents. Or here's an issue that we are trying to resolve with the parents. Here's an issue I'm having with my caseworker. Or, hey, Judge, I haven't seen a caseworker in 3 months on this case. Those are all times that you can address those issues directly with the court, so that the court can take any type of action that is necessary for the best interest of the child. So yes, you have a right to know when those hearings are, and I would make sure that your agency and your caseworker is giving you the date and time of those. They should know the date and time of the next court date after the last court date took place. So if there was a court date on Monday, they should know on Monday when the next court date is in this matter. There's not any reason that they don't know. It's always announced in court when that next court date is going to be. Very limited circumstances does the court not know when the next court date is going to be on one of these juvenile cases. So if you're not able to get that information and your caseworker's not cooperating, or their supervisor's not cooperating, call the state's attorney's office and tell them that you're the foster parent. Or call the guardian ad litem on the case and talk to the guardian ad litem. Do you know who the guardian ad litem is on your foster child's case? You may not. You should be provided with that information, because that is the attorney or the representative, that is the eyes and the ears of the court making recommendations based upon the agency report. So any of those individuals should be able to provide you that information, but it should be coming first from your caseworker. So the other part of this particular right is in that last sentence, which says, I'll go back up to that, the right to be, where it talks about notified of all court hearings, and then after the semicolon, and the right to intervene in court proceedings or to seek mandamus under the Juvenile Court Act of 1987. So there are instances where, as a foster parent, you have the right to intervene as a party in a juvenile case. I would recommend using an attorney to do that process. It's a very procedurally specific procedure that you have to go through to file a petition to intervene and have an underlying motion. But if you are allowed to intervene, then you are a party in the case, and you or your attorney be able to sit in on the proceedings and be treated as a party in the juvenile case. This usually becomes an issue once we get closer to termination, or where there's not a lot of progress, or if there's other intervening parties. where you're really having some serious issues with the department. It's usually a lack of action on the part of the department to move the case forward, where foster parents feel a need to intervene. But that is one of your rights, is a right to intervene. A mandamus is basically filing something with the court saying, court, you were supposed to do this and you didn't. I want you to do this. So instances where you might have to file a mandamus action is where you ask for an opportunity to be heard by the court before the court makes a decision in the juvenile case, and the court denies you the right to do that. Or I have had some counties where they do not let the foster parents participate at all. And that might be a situation where you do need to file a mandamus action to basically tell the court that you have to allow us to participate. And so there are the specific procedures for both of those are under the Juvenile Court Act. So I would really recommend particularly when you're having issues with your agency, you can address it administratively by filing service appeals, but you can also address it directly with the court. So if you have a court date coming up and you have an issue that's not being addressed by your agency, that is probably how you're going to get the quickest action from the agency, is for the court to hold them to task to say, agency, why aren't you providing service XYZ? And sometimes it can also be remedied by a specific order from the court ordering the agency to comply with their obligations under the foster parent law or under the obligations under the Juvenile Court Act. So if you find yourself in that type of situation, our office is always happy to assist foster parents. If you want to go to our website, you can go to our website and schedule a free consultation with one of our attorneys to discuss whether or not this is a situation where you might need some attorney intervention as a foster parent to assert those rights. We will be continuing this series with some of those other rights. And like I said, the copy of the link to the actual law that you can cite yourself will be in the links below. Thank you.